And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Oh, yeah, we are the chosen ones. It is the Weighing In podcast with the real punk, Josh Thompson, and me, John McCarthy, here to bring you all the insight into MMA and the things that are happening around the world of MMA and combat sports. My God, it's good to see you, Josh. You're feeling good. You're looking good. That's a nice beanie covering your ears so you can't hear anything the podcast Dave says.
Whatever I can do to drown out the Dave noise, man. It's just driving me crazy. Just the last couple days, I swear. I'm just like, gosh, I just want to pull my hair out. New year, new me bullshit is on my last nerve already, I swear.
This is what happens when you give up drinking.
I know. I got to tell you, I'm probably going to, I don't know if it's going to last long, John. I swear.
I figure you got a month, baby. You got a month. Because at the end of the month, you're going to see me, and I promise you, I'm going to make you break that sucker. I
can see why Chael does what Chael does now. He just, as soon as things are done, he just bounces back to his room. Yep. Yeah, he avoids everyone like the plague. But he doesn't drink, so he doesn't have that problem. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those things. I'm going to make it a while. I think I'm going to make it at least a month.
Okay.
At least a month.
I'll give you a month.
All right.
Close to a month.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I've been working out already a couple times a day, doing 2 a days. Been riding the bike and doing some skateboarding as well. Just a little fun. I'm letting my lab pull me around the park on my skateboard.
Oh, so your lab's doing the workout.
My lab's doing the work. I'm like, yep. So he's getting some exercise and I'm getting outside, which is always nice. I did some serious mountain biking on Sunday with a bunch of fellows up in Santa Cruz. Hit some pretty big trails and stuff. So I got to start videoing this stuff so I can get more footage out there of being active. I like it. I had so much fun. I've been riding with a couple good friends, and it's like kind of like a group of dads, you know. So I don't have to worry about underperforming because they're all got the dad bods going. It's great. And then you know, but then I've got a crew of guys that all compete for Specialized, you know, the mountain bike company.
Yeah.
So they're all anxious to take me out. I'm gonna go with them. I'm gonna go with them. Yeah, well, hey, if you can climb trees, I can go mountain biking with them.
Humble. You will be humble.
I have no doubt. Just looking at the videos that these guys put together, and I'm thinking to myself, man, they like elevate off of these jumps. I don't know what it is. And they can turn and cut in the air, and I'm like, what in the hell? Like, there's just no way. But I mean, I'll be at the tail end picking up the slack. So.
You know those six broken ribs and punctured lung I had?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the party, bitch.
Well, I've got knee pads, elbow pads. I've even got a rib protector, and I've got a spine protector too.
Okay,
so
you'll be all right.
And I've got a full frontal mask, head, what's it called? Helmet with the front mask in the front too. So I should be okay. I mean, you know, we'll see. I mean, I've been mountain biking since I was young, but I mean, not at that level. These guys are doing it, but the dad crew though is a little bit more my speed. I'm a little bit faster than the majority of them, but they're all older though too, in their 50s, you know. But then, you know, the younger guys, the guys on the team, those guys are probably in their late 20s, early 30s, and they can freaking book it, man. So they're gonna take me out, I think either this weekend or the weekend after, and it's gonna be fun.
And everyone needs a little humble pie every now and then.
Yeah,
it's gonna come
put me in the front.
All depends on how it's served.
I don't want to feel that pressure of them. If I'm in the front, I got to feel the pressure of them breathing down my neck, pushing me to go faster, and that's when it's bad. If you pull up the caboose, baby, like it's not that big of a deal, right?
I'm going slow.
Yeah, they're just at the bottom waiting for you, going, okay, man, dude, we're trying to get to the next trail. Hurry up, buddy. So, all right, well, hey, let's Dave, what are we doing today, buddy? I mean, like this. I only want you to talk very little. Okay, get to the point.
Very
don't stutter.
little.
Okay, try to speak English. I know you're from Scotland, okay, but I know they're pretty close to inventing the language. Can you speak it a little bit today?
You want me to speak Gaelic? Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, I'll sound like you if I start speaking Gaelic gibberish.
Gaelic? Just go for it. Let's go. What are we doing? Talk to us.
Today we have actually some really good topics to cover. We're going to start with probably the biggest one for the day, which is Dustin Poirier coming out on Teddy Atlas's podcast and saying that basically says, I'm not holding my tongue. It's Nate Diaz that I'm going to fight. I'm not going to say a day. I'm not going to say a card, but it's coming up pretty fast.
It's short notice.
Yeah. However, in response to that, in the last sort of couple hours or whatever, Nate has come out and says, I just talked to the UFC. I said, what's up with the DP fight? I want to fight ASAP, but they said Dustin sucks and they don't want it. Sorry, Dustin, you suck. Hope to fight ASAP, though. Let's do this. P.S. Oliveira, you suck too. So, I don't know if that's a money-related thing that Nate Diaz
he's pushing buttons.
No, honestly, what it is, the UFC does not want to allow him to fight a big-name guy for his last fight on his contract. He wants to fight as soon as possible. Now, we've talked about this a bunch of times, John, right? Is that he wants to fight because he wants to get that last fight over with so he can either renegotiate or he can just bounce out to boxing to fight somebody else, right? That's what he wants to do. As soon as he comes out publicly and tells them, even privately, if he tells them, I'm ready to fight, I'm waiting on you guys to give me an opponent. Here, these are the guys that I'm willing to fight. Let's go. It's on them. Now that reactivates his contract. So even though it's delayed for 4 months, it extends his contract for 4 months.
Yeah, but as soon as he hits that fight, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. As soon as he says he's ready to fight, okay, I'm ready to fight, let's go. These are the guys that I'm ready to fight. Then that's on them. Now it activates his contract back up. So then it's not really a full 4-month long extension. As soon as he agrees to say, hey, I'm ready to fight one of these guys, that activates his contract again. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of with the position. He's actually come out publicly now and put them on the spot because now they're on the clock. They've got to get him a fight coming up because his contract will start coming to an end. And once that contract comes to an end and he has one fight left, they're going to fight him before it ends. But remember, after that contract ends, it's normally a 60 to a 90-day period where they have just exclusive negotiating rights to hold him. Now, they'll know whether they're going to do that probably by then. But, I think they're going to hold him as long as they possibly can. John, realistically, who? They're not going to let him fight Oliveira because he's the champion.
No.
That fight's not going to happen. They don't want him winning, and then he could stay. He would end up having to stay. Excuse me. He would end up having to stay if he won the title for at least 1 or 2 fights or however long, they've just negotiated that deal. But that won't happen.
No.
But his fight with Dustin, I don't see why. It's a perfect matchup. All the shit talking they've been doing back and forth. And I honestly, man, I really want to see, I actually would kind of prefer to see the Conor and Nate Diaz 3 over the Dustin fight. And I like Dustin a lot. I want to see Dustin fight the upper echelon of fighters. I think Nate right now is not at that point anymore. I think he had his run. I think he's getting a little bit older. I think he's motivated by handpicking. And here's the other thing with him. John, him and his brother both for years, but a lot with Nate is that there's certain fighters that motivate them to get them pumped for the fight. And there's certain fighters that don't. And we've seen them perform so-so against fighters that you could tell they're not really motivated to fight. And then you see them fight guys that they were motivated to fight. You go back and you watch his fight with Donald Cerrone. It was just
one of his best performances ever.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. In that fight, he was piecing Donald up, just touching him. And I think Donald had let him get into his head throughout that week of the fight. And I think the lead up to that fight, because Donald didn't look himself either. It was just the southpaw stance, the cracking of the talking shit as he was throwing the combinations, and he was keeping long range, not even really inside the range for the kicks. That was having some problems there. Donald started figuring out a little bit with the inside. I think it was the inside leg kick and the leg kick. He started having problems with as the fight went on. Nate was, but that boxing was just tearing him up right off the bat, right from the get go. And all the talking and conversation was definitely an issue for him. But I'd have to agree with you. That was one of the best performances I've ever seen from Nate.
His 3 best performances, if you look at them overall, and it's you can sit there and say whatever you want. The Donald Cerrone fight, he was amazing with his counter striking and his ability to hit Cowboy when Cowboy did not expect him to be hit. The pressure he put on him. Like you said, Cowboy was starting to catch that leg towards the end of the fight, and it was making a little bit of a difference. But especially the first 2 rounds, you just looked and said, my God, I didn't see this coming in this fashion that way. And then his 2 fights with Conor. You got to admit, look at he took that first Conor fight, last minute. He had about a week to prepare for it, if that, and went out there, took a lot of abuse in the beginning, but we all know that Nate can do that, and then just started peppering Conor. Conor got tired, tried to put him away, and just did what he does. Started putting shots on him, hurt him. and as he says, I made you a wrestler. And that's what he did, because it was Conor that took the shot and tried to take him down.
Yeah.
So, the second fight that he had with Conor, I thought was an amazing fight, actually, by Nate, because Conor had done his homework, had figured things out, and he was touching Nate a lot and backing off, not overextending, not trying to load up a lot. And Nate just took his time, and he had those moments in that fight where he had Conor in trouble, and it was a close fight. One of the best fights, I think, that anyone, when you're watching MMA, you look at what happened in that fight. It was an amazing fight. So those are his 3 best performances. But if I was going to pick someone that, he hasn't fought that I would like to see him fight, I would like to see him fight Dustin Poirier. I'd like to see what happens, but I don't care if it's at 155, but I think at 170, since Dustin has said, hey, I want to go up, make it at 170, have, both of them feeling, all swollen up and feeling good, have energy, and let's see what happens in it. I think it'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think if both of them don't have to make the cut, I don't think Nate really wants to make that cut anymore. He's
I don't think so
talked
either.
about, I don't think he has any interest in doing that. I would hate to see the fight actually come to like fruition, and then the week of going, yeah, I'm not making the weight, you're going to have to make the weight. That wouldn't be fair either. I'd like to see it to be even across the board. Even if they decided to say, hey, let's do a catch weight between the two of them, but I don't think the UFC would really care. They'd be say, hey, let's just do it at 170, whatever you guys come in at, you guys come in at. I think they would make adjustments for that fight. I don't see that happening. The history of the UFC has been proven that what they want to do is the person on their last fight of their contract, they don't want them fighting any of their top guys.
No, normally they want to get them beat, though.
Yes, so unless there's a top guy like a Chimaev, like if you can say Chimaev versus Nate, they're going to take that fight all day long.
Oh, they did. I think that's the fight they tried to put over onto Nate. Yep. I think Nate said, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. And so Nate knows what they're doing. The history has shown that's what they do. You know what I mean? And so when it comes down, and it's a smart business plan here, like we continue to say this, guys, that this is what they've learned over the years when dealing with their fighters that are on their last fight of their contract. John, is like they didn't, when they were younger, when they were relatively learning the sport, Dana, Lorenzo, Frank, they were learning how to handle these athletes. They couldn't take the athletes at face value because the athletes had something in the back of their mind that they wanted to do that didn't always agree with what the UFC wanted to do. And they bounced out and left them high and dry. Yeah. So when we say the UFC does this, this, and this, we're not talking bad about them.
No.
What we're telling you guys is that over the years, John, they've learned from negative experiences because the fighters have fucked them over.
We call it, in police work, it's called an MO. It's modus operandi. And it's that shows that you have a system of doing something, and they have a system of doing something. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying this is what they do. They're going to, if they have a fighter that they believe he's going to leave, he wants to go somewhere else, she wants to go somewhere else, they're going to look towards a person that they believe can beat that person, that they can use the name of that bigger star to get a win against them with their young star that they have coming up, and they can use that in building the young star. Their job as a promotion is to build stars. And so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, that's their MO. That's their modus operandi. That's what they do. They're going to look, if you're that person that's going to be in that position to leave, they're going to look to get you beat because they want to use your name.
Yeah, you guys go back and look at the Randy Couture situation, look at the BJ Penn situation, look at any fighters that have decided to try and leave as they were making their exit out. Okay. And Nate is no different in this situation. And they've done it to a lot of fighters as they've gone and they've started to pass and decided to leave their career behind. They have learned this over those years in dealing with those type of fighters. And it's just been the learning curve for them. That's why Dana knows, like, hey, this is how we handle each situation. They have, and like you said, an MO for how they handle each one of these situations because of what they've had to deal with in the past.
Yeah. And it's, I think if they put this fight together, it's a good fight. Mm-hmm. It's got all the makings of, the personality wise, it's going to be fun to watch. Dustin is a guy wanting to move up in weight. They've both been lightweights. Them going up to welterweight is great. I don't think Dustin is going anywhere. He says he just wants to have certain fights with, big name fights, superstar fights. Great. If he wants to go back down to lightweight and try to get the title, maybe he'll do that again. But this is the perfect fight for him coming off of the Oliveira fight, to get back in there and to, try to get that taste out of his mouth of not winning the title. This is the perfect fight with the perfect guy as far as the name and the reputation with Nate. And Nate, look, he can beat anybody on a given day. And he's been fighting guys at 170, so he's used to the power. He's used to everything. He's not a guy that's easy to get rid of. This is exactly what you're looking for in a fight, I think. I like it.
Who do you see? Here's Dustin talking about going to 170. But who do you see him fighting, though, at 170? I don't see anyone, John. Well, maybe Leon Edwards, but he's going to have a hard time with the speed.
Yeah, I think he matches the speed of Leon. You got to figure. Yeah, no,
way.
He's not. I'm not saying he's as fast, but you do certain things to negate the speed, and he's got that ability because he's fought guys that are fast.
Yeah,
look, Conor's fast. He was able to negate a lot of things by things that he was doing, and so it's a matter of Dustin's a seasoned fighter. He's smart, and he knows what he's doing. If you're looking at the matchup itself, if you're looking at, who's he going to be fighting? Look, he could fight guys in the 170 pound. We named a couple of them and stuff, but when it gets into that upper echelon and you're looking at the guys and, the Kamaru Usmans, the Colby Covingtons, the Gilbert Burns, it's a tough one because, Gilbert's a guy that, and he's just dangerous if you hit the ground with him. And he's got power in his hands, and he's much better at 170 than he was at 155. Just the same as I believe that Dustin Poirier was much better at 155 than he was at 145. He was cutting too much weight. It was affecting his performance. It was affecting his ability to actually take damage. So he broke down much quicker in the 145-pound division. So maybe going up to 170, he's going to even be better. You don't know.
Yeah, Gilbert Burns is big, though, for 170.
Hold on. Gilbert Burns has gotten very big for 170.
Yeah. He's enormous, man. His fucking legs and his ass and his waist and his trunk. Are you
kidding? When we see him, man, he's like 220. We go, God damn. And
it's
Gilbert,
insane.
Yeah, how are you breaking down to 170? But he does, so.
Yeah.
He's solid.
There's I agree with you, John, that if there was to be a fight to make where you feel like there was no risk from the UFC really to lose it, because Dustin's kind of like you said, he's looking for the big name fights.
Yeah.
And so and knowing that, hey, I'll fight him at 65, I'll fight him at 70, I'll fight him at 80. I don't give a crap. I just want to fight, and I want to fight him. When he's had the career that he's had, if you look at his resume of the fighters he's fought from 145 to 155, I don't know if there's another fighter that has a better resume.
Oh, no.
Can you give me somebody else?
No, we've talked about it before. I take a look at who he's fought, in the list. And you can take Justin Gaethje's a guy that I'm going to put right there as far as since he's been in the UFC. But he hasn't been in the UFC as long. But, since Justin has been in the UFC, take a look at the list of fighters that guy has gone. Just everybody, top notch. I mean, just incredible. But same thing with Dustin. Dustin has just fought a who's who. Eddie Alvarez twice, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Conor McGregor twice, Charles Oliveira. You just take a look at the list. Khabib. It's incredible. I mean, it's just remarkable who the guy has fought. And then in taking a look at
this is Gaethje.
Gaethje is the same thing, man. Gaethje is. It's a who's who, man, of top-notch fighters. And so, there's one thing that we've seen out of Dustin Poirier. He's not worried about taking on anybody. And I think the move up in weight, you never know. But, in talking to fighters that people see at 170 pounds that used to pay 155, and I've talked to them and said, man, you should do that. No, they're too big for me. No, they're not. I'm just telling you, this is where you're going to have an advantage. And I think that he could have some advantages at 170. It's not in every, every bracket. No, he's not going to have the advantage. Are there people out there going to be stronger than him? Yes, but not that much. And this is where people start to lose it. when you're talking about someone being stronger, when you're talking about them being, oh, they're 2% stronger than you. Now, that's 2%, but it only lasts in the beginning of the fight. It doesn't stay that way throughout the fight. That strength level starts to even out as people get tired. Now, if you're the one who's stronger and you're in better shape and you're not getting tired, you're always going to be stronger. But things start to even out in the fight as it goes. Those things happen in the beginning and they can have an effect, but I don't think that he's going to have a problem at 170.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a problem either, but when you look at guys like Kamaru Usman, you could look like Gilbert Burns is pretty big now for like you said now.
Those are style problems, though. That's a style problem.
I feel like size is a little bit of a problem. Kamaru Usman is tall, long, and lanky. He's a now.
Dude, he is not long and lanky. Kamaru Usman is just a stud.
I understand that, but he is tall, long, and lanky. John, what is he, like 6'2"?
No.
Kamaru, maybe, no. I don't know. Maybe he just
Kamaru might be 6 foot. He's 5'11", 6 foot.
Really? No way.
What's he?
No way.
Dave, pull it up. What's he at?
Up right now. He is
I feel like
6 foot.
6'2". No,
yeah, 6 foot.
Man, I thought he was 6'2". He just seems long, man. Like everything about him seems long. Maybe it's the way he uses his
He's
jab.
solid, dude. That dude is a rock.
Yeah.
Man, he is
stud.
His eyeballs have muscle. I'm just telling you, man. You look at him, you go,
oh,
did God put fat anywhere on your body, man? Yeah.
No, he's a hard worker.
Dude, he is.
Hard worker, man. Dedicated his life to this thing, and he's it's shown. He's phenomenal. He's done a great job. I mean, like if I look at the top tier of the level, look, I think the Leon Edwards fight is a fun fight for Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
I think, the stylistically they match up very well. Leon has gotten a lot better in the wrestling and the grappling department. I mean, and Dustin is no slouch in either one of those areas. His only losses, like those submission losses, have come to Charles and to Khabib. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones from back in the day, but these ones here, the ones that were most recent, I mean, to the top two guys in the world, at that weight class. So that being said, I mean, but you look at these, if I look at that weight class, I only look at really, Leon would probably be the only person that I would see him potentially fighting. I mean, he wouldn't fight Masvidal, all their teammates. Maybe Bilal Muhammad. I can see Bilal being a fight for him, and then there's a lot of tenacity in that wrestling and that strength. I mean, I don't know how that's strong. I don't know how strong Bilal is, but
he's strong.
It seems like he seems in the cage that he's pretty strong. I wouldn't mind watching him and Stephen Thompson. That wouldn't be a bad fight either.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind watching him and Michael Chiesa.
Yeah, I could take that.
It'd be a good fight,
that, I guess. But if I'm looking at fights for Dustin Poirier that are money fights, none of them there except for Leon. None of the other fights there are money fights just yet. Stephen Thompson and him is not a money fight. Leon Edwards and him is a money fight, but then Leon's probably not going to want to take that until he gets his title shot. He's got a problem, man. That guy's been sitting around for 3 years now waiting for a damn title.
I'm sorry. They're not going to give him a title shot, man.
They're not. I don't know. They're not going to give him. He'll be done.
Man.
Yeah, he's done. I mean,
what's he? Is he 9-0 or 10-0 now as far as last run?
I think it might be more than that. I think
he's 10-0.
10.
I think you're right, John.
His last loss was to Kamaru Usman.
Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, but he did have a no contest with Bilal, so
but that doesn't. That was
it was so quick too.
He's
9. And look, he was winning that fight, and nothing. It could have changed, but he was doing well.
Yeah,
9 wins since the Usman loss.
9 wins since there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Well, look, back to the Nate and the Dustin Poirier fight, because we got off track a little bit on that. But if we're going to talk about the fight to make happen, I would agree with you, John, that it would have to be probably that fight. If you want, Dustin's got a good chance of beating him, and Nate's got a good chance. It could be a barn burner between the two of them. I still believe that the reason why that they're not jumping at the bit at this, or chomping at the bit, I should say, is that they don't want, there's a chance that Nate could win this fight, and they don't want that. They want to leave him on a loss, and they want him to walk out on a loss, which is common. That's, just so you guys understand, that's their business, their MO for years now, because of all the history of other fighters, bouncing out and going somewhere else. And they don't want that. They want to make sure you leave on a loss, so then you're not as marketable.
And it also comes, it goes with the Dana shtick of, hey, I understand you want to go against lesser competition, man. It's tough to fight here. You got beat. I understand. It all plays out, and it's all just it works.
Yep,
gets people believing in stuff, and that if it works, use it.
Dana, make this shit happen, man. Let's go.
I would love to see that.
Let's go. I know. I would love to see that. But who else? I guess, okay, let me go off on another little. Who does Nate fight then?
That's the whole question. If you're taking a look and saying, really, who does he fight in this, that you look and go, can they put him against that he'll say, I'll take that fight, because it's really, he doesn't want to fight the up and comer. I don't blame him. He's past that now, and he's saying, he'll say, give me Kamaru Usman. They're not going to do that. Like, they just had him fight their number 3 guy in Edwards. And then let's be honest, Leon Edwards had a great fight up till a certain point into the 5th round. He was dominating that fight. He was piecing Nate up. He was, doing well, but that one shot and that round made it to where people go, Nate could have gotten him. Nate did, Nate hurt him. Nate had it, all this stuff. And so that didn't go that way. And that was their number 3. So do you give him a Colby Covington? I think they'd be afraid of giving him Colby. I don't think they would want to do that. So to me, Dustin Poirier is almost like, well, he's moving up in weight, even though Nate has been a lightweight for most of his career. But Dustin can move up in weight. It doesn't look bad, because Nate's not going to take on the guys that we want him to take. He's not going to fight Chimaev. I don't think he would take on Sean Brady.
I think if I was the UFC, I'd be trying to match him up against Sean Brady.
Yeah, so would I, but I don't think he'll take it. I don't think he'll take either one of them. See, and I think Vicente, you want to just a banger's brawl. I think Vicente Luque and him would be just phenomenal.
Yeah, it
would be a fun fight, but I don't think that he looks at it like Vicente. He might look at Vicente Luque and say, "I'll take that fight," but I don't think he would take Sean Brady.
Sean Brady just beat Craig Jones.
I know. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, hold on. Did you watch it? Because I watched it.
I didn't get to watch it.
He shut Craig Jones down. He got on top and just, Craig Jones, all the beautiful sweep work and everything that Craig Jones is so good at and everything. Shut it down. Boy from Philadelphia. Look out. Man. The Philly boys are here.
He's
a stud, dude.
Man. When we had him on, I was giving him a hard time about his cardio. I'm like, hey, what's going on with your cardio, man? You got face. He's like,
he was pissed about that.
I do so much. He was mad. He was heated. I said, hey,
but
I'm calling you out.
Think about it. You're a guy that can you can call people out on that, because your cardio was always unbelievable. You could push a pace. And so if I went and said, dude, Josh, man, your cardio, it sucks, man. You were tired.
Now he has his dog pillow on a skateboard.
You would just look at me and go, fuck you.
Yeah. But I had to fight like what he had when I fought KJ Nunes. For some reason, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get any. After the first 3.5, 4 minutes of that first round, I was done. The whole fight, I was in survival mode.
There is that point of what, people, a lot of people don't believe in it. There is overtraining. You can train yourself so much that, and there is, you're always working to get to that peak. And you should taper off, and a lot of guys don't. And I got to keep going, and you can actually push past that peak, and you're on the downhill side of it when that fight night happens, and all of a sudden you're gassing when normally you wouldn't be, and so it happens.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it might have been something like that for him as well in his last fight, but then I think also too what he talked about was
breaking his nose didn't help.
Yeah, breaking his nose didn't help. There was that, and then on top of it, he's like, look, there was so much more media, so many more commitments, and so much more pressure just the week of that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't realize. So, and he's a stud, man. What a great guy. We had him on. If you guys haven't seen that show, go back through our archives there on our main channel, and it's available there for you guys. So check that out with Sean Brady. All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, this next topic, Francis Ngannou comes out and talks about requirements for signing a new contract. And he basically saying that boxing has to be a part of his contract for renegotiating with the UFC. Because, he's talked about some fights that he would like to have in boxing.
Now I see the problem with Francis and the UFC. This is not going to get better.
No.
Not with that. The UFC is like the UFC has got its standard contracts, and you know, it is what it is. They do not allow you to go and do other combat sports while you are with them. Now they have with like Conor, because they could make a ton of money off of that fight without doing anything. You know, you got to figure that fight against Mayweather, that made the UFC's year very nice when, you know, there was some other things going on and stuff, but they're not into allowing someone to have the ability to freely go and compete in another combat sport. Now they do allow them to go into grappling tournaments and things like that, but when it becomes professional boxing, that's not something that someone in the UFC under contract can just freely go and do. They would have to get the permission of the UFC. And other than Conor, name me the fighter that's gotten that permission.
Yeah.
Not under contract.
I think that's a big reason why Nate's leaving. I really believe he's going to end up fighting Jake Paul. I think that fight's going to happen. Yeah. And I think that they're looking for just that one time, big time money fight, say 5 to 10 million, whatever it is. And, you know, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, whatever it is, but it's going to be around that. I think it's probably be around that number, around $10 million for Nate. So I'll take the one boxing match and just ride off into the sunset, you know, and I think stylistically, man, that fight would have to be a 10 or 12 round fight. It's probably just 10 round fight, you know, for him and Jake Paul. I think Nate starts putting it on in that 4th and 5th round, starts touching him, but it could be a fun fight.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big reason why I think that's a big reason why he's trying to get this fight out of there so he can go off and fight that one boxing match.
Yep. I agree.
What, John, remember I said this, how many months ago?
It's been about 4 months now.
It's been a while. I just felt like that's what was going to happen. We'll see if it all comes to fruition, but we'll see. But in terms of Francis Ngannou, I understand why. If you possess that type of power,
yeah,
I would get it. I understand. And knowing that, like, he probably doesn't enjoy wrestling. You know, I haven't met a lot of big guys. There's been like DC and Kane. And I have a couple other guys that were good wrestlers that we trained with. They love the wrestling aspect of it all, but some of them didn't like getting hit. Now, Francis Ngannou doesn't mind getting hit. He doesn't strike me as the person that loves the wrestling aspect of the whole thing. So he's gotten a lot better at learning the wrestling, and we saw it against Stipe. But and he's gotten better since his fight with Stipe the first time. But I think him fighting in a boxing match, the UFC is just not going to have it. He's going to have to fight this fight, get it done. And I think but here's the question, John. Does he want to go straight to boxing, or does he want to keep doing MMA?
You know, that's up to him. But he's making a big mistake. You cannot walk straight from MMA into boxing and think that you're going to do well. It's a completely different sport. Look, the stance is different. The footwork is different. Everything is different. Everything that you've been training for, you've got to now stop and readjust and change it to what a boxer is going to do, because you can't have the same bladed stance unless you're Stephen Thompson, and he's doing it differently, you know, in an MMA cage than, you know, a boxing ring and stuff. So it doesn't play out. There's aspects of it that, yes, it's the same, but not enough, you know, and this is the other thing is, you know, you just brought up with Francis, you know, does he really like the wrestling part? I don't know, but he's been practicing it a lot. And all of that time that he's practicing that, guess what he's not practicing? Mm-hmm. Boxing. Yeah. A boxer doesn't do that. And to think that because you can knock people out, which Francis can, he's got that power. You've got to be able to touch him. And it's different in a boxing ring than it is in MMA. The openings are different. Everything's going to be different. And so, you know, could Francis Ngannou go in against other, you know, beginner boxers, lower caliber boxers and do well? Absolutely, man. You know, he's a stud athlete. He's big. He's strong. He's got incredible power. Is he going to walk right into a big boxing match and do well? No, he is not. Every boxer out there in the heavyweight division can hit. Now, some hit harder than others, but they can all hit, and they all have power. And all it takes is one shot. You got to be able to plant that shot on your opponent. And just not a good move in my estimation. I would understand why the UFC doesn't want to allow Ngannou to have that in his contract. I don't think they will allow it.
Okay, I guess the next question is, does he leave? And I'm only throwing this out there because we know that Showtime does both. So you have Bellator and you have boxing. Does he leave and go to Bellator so he can fight MMA and still fight for Showtime boxing?
Well, Bellator, and everyone's going to say, oh, you're just Bellator. It has nothing to do with anything about who I work for, anything like that. All I'm saying is Scott Coker has signed many people and allowed them to have in their contracts they can fight in MMA and boxing, or they can do professional wrestling, or they can do other things that they want to do, kickboxing and stuff. Bellator actually had a kickboxing and stuff, and that's how they got certain fighters. It's there for him, in that aspect. He would be able to maintain his MMA and do the boxing. But how, again, to sit there and think that you can be a master of two worlds, you're making a mistake. You're not going to master the two worlds. There's too much difference in the way the fighting styles and what you need to do take place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I agree. I agree with you that it's hard to do both. It's just not like, here, let me give you guys an example. When I broke my ankle and I had a plate put in, and I could only box. I couldn't kick. I couldn't do it was actually kind of painful to even knee, because when I planted on it and brought it up and down, depending on what it was, but there's no way I could kick. There's just no way. So I spent a lot of time just boxing. And once I was able to start kicking, I started getting back into more MMA and wrestling. It was a completely different world. I was getting taken down easily. Like, I was like, man, I had decent wrestling. It just was a different style. The speed of how I was throwing my combinations, the way I was able to box, it went away. The MMA portion of me went away because I spent so much time hitting the bags, hitting the mitts, hitting the movement, the footwork. Everything was just different. The stance was wider. The stance, the parrying off and then stepping underneath and circling out, all those things was just different. Yep. And so I agree with you. It's hard. If you want to be really good, there's very few athletes in the world ever. You have Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders.
Yep.
Those are you're talking just that level of athlete that's able to do two sports at the highest level. And I'm not saying Francis can't. I agree with you 100% that it's going to be very difficult to be one of those athletes. And so it's hard. It's really hard for him. But Bellator can do MMA and do Showtime boxing. Now, there's also the triad. He can do the MMA boxing or that dirty boxing, whatever it is that they do with the small MMA gloves. Mm-hmm. That style, he can do that, as well as, I'm sure that they would probably line up an MMA fight if they wanted to in a triad. They would do whatever the hell he wanted to do, I think, if he was to leave and go to them. Now, the last thing is would they be able to continue to afford him? That's the other thing.
That is the question.
How long will that promotion be around? Yeah. Triller, I don't think he's going to be around much longer. I give him maybe another one, maybe two shows. The way they just, their money.
I just saw something. I think they just merged with another company.
Oh, okay,
and
all right.
I'm trying to think of the name of who they merged with, and I can't. But I think they
public.
What's that?
Triller to go public in the US via merger with Sea Change.
There you go.
Say that again. Say that merger.
A merger.
Merger.
Yeah. So going public, that's not always the best thing.
Vitor Belfort versus Chad Dawson in the triad combat.
Yeah, that's a bad move for Vitor. Just telling you right now.
Yeah, Chad's pretty tough, man. Pretty tough.
Pretty damn tough.
Vitor's going to be good, I think, for a good 2 rounds.
Yeah, he'll be all right for a couple rounds.
Maybe 3. Might get 3 of them. What is it, 6 rounds probably?
No,
6 or 8.
Got to be at least 8.
No, 8. Man. Wow. Well, anyways, it's going to be, okay, they're only 2-minute rounds.
Not there.
No.
Oh, did they? Well, they might have switched them up. They might have, because it wasn't before, but now, yeah.
Got it.
It might be with their new rules.
No, maybe I'm thinking bare knuckle boxing. Bare knuckle boxing is 2
bare knuckle boxing is 2.
There you go. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. All right. Well, all right. What else is next?
Let's hit this next topic. And so it's we're moving to Bellator now, and Scott Coker did an interview with MMA Junkie, and along the way he was asked a bunch of stuff. Highlights were updates on Dylan Dennis and Anthony Johnson. So obviously, Dylan Dennis just been a big name outside of the sport, but also a fighter for Bellator as well. And then Anthony Rumble, who recently had some issues. So on Dylan Dennis, he basically said we're ready for him when he's ready to fight. He was kind of plagued with injuries last year in 2021, but hopefully 2022 we can get something going for him. And then for Rumble, basically wishing him well, saying we're not going to rush him. It could be 2 years, it could be 6 months. We're going to wait for Rumble to be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to him, to AJ, to Rumble probably 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, like right before Christmas. I talked to him, and he said he's feeling a lot better. Not quite ready to even like get into training and stuff yet. He's feeling a lot better though. He doesn't feel like he feels like the progress is definitely looking a lot better in terms of that. Whether he can make it back or not, he can't make the decision yet.
Doesn't matter.
He just wants to make sure that he is healthy and able to live a normal life, and that's kind of where he's at right now. Yeah. I would say, look, he's a stud. And if he's going to make it back, and if anyone's going to make it back, I know he can do it if he wants to. Yeah. So it's just a matter of making sure that he stays healthy. And once he gets healthy, I think you're going to see him get back to normal. But he's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, but that's, my whole thing is this. First off, fighting is important. It's not that important. His health is important. And Rumble, from the bottom of my heart, man, just take care of yourself. If you fight again, awesome. If you don't, doesn't matter, dude. Just be healthy, live a long life, enjoy life. You deserve it. So whatever you need to do, however long it takes. That's the one thing I did listen to the interview with Coker, and he says, it doesn't matter how long it takes, we're here. And you can't ask for anything more. That's exactly what Rumble needs to know. And if he's able to make it back and wants to come back, he's got a home. If he doesn't have to. No big deal.
Yeah, he still has a home regardless. I think that they're always going to try to make sure that he makes it work, whether he wants to just come to shows and be part of it and be present. I mean, they would love to have him. He's a stud. He's a great guy too. He's a great person. Yep. So it's in terms of Dylan Dennis.
There you go. Let's hear I want to hear your take.
John, I give two shits. That's my take on the whole situation. Hey, if I don't see you, you don't exist. Like, that's how the fight game goes. If you haven't fought recently, like, what have you done for me lately? That's the way this game goes. Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's Dylan Dennis. It doesn't matter. It's anybody. Look at the way people are treating John Jones right now, who has done so well. He arguably could be considered to be the best fighter of all time. Yep. That guy. People are like, yeah, whatever. On to the next one. They don't even care anymore.
Well, they'll forget about you. They'll push you to the side.
Oh yeah, it's done. You're the greatest thing at the moment, but if you haven't done anything for me lately, I'll see you later. It's done. Well, I mean, that's kind of the situation that John Jones is in, but that's exactly how I think almost everyone feels about Dylan Dennis.
Well, the best part is, if you honestly take a look, who has Dylan Dennis fought? No one would be able to pull up the names. I just saw that, Podcast Dave just pulled him up here. So Kyle Walker was his first, and then Max Humphreys. But you take a look, he's got 2 fights in basically 4 years of time. Mm-hmm. That is not someone that's trying to be a professional fighter. No. Okay, that's not the way it's done. He's good at eliciting a lot of response and attitudes from different people on different things based upon his comments. And if that's the way he wants to go about doing everything, that's okay. But he doesn't. He really. I heard he had the knee injury, and if he's had some problems with it, and if that's what's held him out, fine, But this probably is not. He's not that guy that you're looking at. This guy can be a champion in the sport. That ain't happening.
No, that's not happening at all. You've got to be active. If you want to make a run, you've got to be active. He's not active enough. And not to mention his stand-up is fucking atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. And so when we're having these conversations.
Come on, it's a little better than that.
No,
Come on,
not, John. No, John. No, it's not. John.
No, it's not.
It's not.
You know what? And this is one of those. Yep, gotta agree with you. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, look.
He's a great grappler.
He is. He's a very good grappler, and I'll give him
very
that.
good.
And
Yeah,
look, it takes a lot of balls to get in the cage. Period.
Yes,
and he's done it twice now. And he's got 2 wins, and they're both finishes. I'm not knocking that situation, but to see what he writes on social media and the way he's kind of always aggressively attacking, whether it's Jake Paul, whether it's Ben Askren, whether it's whoever else.
Yeah.
It just, I think for a lot of the fighters that have done it for such a long period of time, they just kind of like tune it out. I mean, I literally, like, I know he's with Bellator and he's signed with them, but it is what it is. I just tune it out. I'm not, look, if he does fight, I look forward to seeing him fight again. I don't have anything against him, but I care about the fighters that are in the gym every single day, that are dedicating their life to trying to be the best. And I want to do as much as I can to help promote those fighters to get to their level that they want to try to the name recognition, the exposure they deserve, for putting in all that work, that hard work. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for the social media guy. That's just not what I'm looking for. And if that bothers people, well, but that's not me. And I know that's not you. So,
nope.
I know. But look, and like you said, he's talented. We're not denying the fact that he's talented on the ground.
Yeah.
But like I said, his stand-up is atrocious. But I want to see him be active. I think with Coker the same way. I think he would love to have him be active. But you got to go out there and you've got to put your name out there. You put your name in the hat to be drawn to say, hey, let's see you start fighting some of these other guys now. I mean, but what is he fighting at, 70?
Yeah.
No, he was fighting at 175, man. They were giving him contracted weight fights. So
yeah.
He wasn't even up at the level where he either had to come down more and go up to 170 or he had to go up to 185.
Yeah, I don't know. But at 170, I mean, if I look at our roster at 170.
I'm trying to get it right now. There we go.
I mean, look, if you do Logan Storley, he ain't taking Logan down. Lima, I mean, I don't think he's taking Lima down either. Page, I think just his speed just touches him. Yaroslav Amosov will take him anywhere. He will just he will out grapple him. He will out wrestle him. He will knock him out.
There is not one person in that top 10 that he can touch. Just let's be honest. Is he going to beat Kyle Crutchmer? He would never get Kyle Crutchmer to the ground ever. No. And Kyle Crutchmer, as limited as he is, he's gotten better with his stand-up. His stand-up is light years ahead of Dylan Dennis's right now. Joey Davis.
He ain't sniffing a takedown on that dude.
Hello. Andrei Koreshkov will light him up like a fucking Roman candle. Okay? And wrestling-wise, he will never get Andrei Koreshkov to the ground.
Yeah.
Paul Daly, he's not going to get Paul Daly to the ground. Paul's been the guy that everyone has to work to get to the ground. Paul will punch a hole in his head.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Anderson, no, he's not. Logan Storley, are you kidding me? Nyman Gracie, no. Jason Jackson, no. Douglas Lima, Page, come on. It's not even
I'd
close.
like to see the Neiman Gracie fight, though.
No.
It would make for a fun fight. I like to
Gracie
see it.
would not, Nyman would not even touch the ground. That's a guy that has actually worked on his stand-up. His stand-up actually looks good now. Take a look at what he's doing in his stand-up and the combinations he's throwing and the different angles and the uppercuts and things that guy is now throwing. His stand-up is dangerous. A smart fighter takes the fight where his opponent is weak.
What do you think, man? Bellator just announced Neiman Gracie and Logan Storley as the main event.
I know. That's a good one.
That's going to be a fun fight.
That's a good one. That's a good match.
Logan's going to be able to take him down, but I don't know if he'll be able to control the submission aspect of it. And on the feet, I give the Neiman Gracie the advantage on the feet. It's a dangerous fight for Logan Storley. Logan had a hard time with that kid.
Yes, he did.
Something Arce? Was it Arce? Not Arce. I can't remember his name. Who was Logan Storley's last fight? God, what was his name?
I am blanking. No, it starts with a D.
Dante Shiro?
Dante Shiro.
Shiro,
yeah. I don't know where the hell I was thinking. Arce. Shiro. It was a different last name. I remember that. That was a tough fight for Logan.
Yeah, it was.
Because he was so active. Dante Shiro was so active on the ground.
Dante did not stop he gave him problems off of his back.
Yeah.
You think the guy named Gracie might give him some problems off of his back?
Some fits, yeah. It's going to give him some fits. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Who knows? Logan may try to stand.
He might.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
And Happy New Year to everyone that is listening to the Weighing In podcast. We want to thank you all who supported us for the 2021 year, including mybookie.ag. Also, when you guys go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code Weighing In. They're going to give you some extra spending cash with that QR code right there. Big John and I have been supported by them for the whole 2021 year, as well as 2020. They came in and started supporting us then as well. We want to thank them so much for standing by us and sticking through us through that whole 2021 year as well. Here we are going into 2022. There's a lot of big fights coming up, a lot of big events that'll be taking place. You've got also the Super Bowl that's coming around. You've got the NBA Finals and the playoffs. You've got a lot of things that you can bet on throughout at mybookie.ag. If you guys use that promo code and that QR code right there, they're going to give you a little extra spending cash on us because we love the fact that you guys continue to support us. John and I use them. We also like to give our breakdowns for all the fights using mybookie.ag. If you guys use that promo code, like I said, they're going to give you some extra spending cash for your first initial deposit. And look, we are very thankful to them because they've actually helped bring us to the next level in the gambling sites as well as on all of our stuff. It's made John and I really focus on making sure we're encouraging our listeners to make sure that they're making proper bets and bringing the knowledge to you guys so you guys can understand that there's in-between round betting, that there's betting on each fight. There's also submissions. There's also knockouts. There's also different rounds that you can win on. There's ways for us to go ahead and break down the fight so you can always try to make sure you turn $1 into $100, $100 into $1,000, whatever it is. That's what we try to do. And we do that through mybookie.ag and use that promo code Weighing In. I want to thank you guys so much for supporting us, and let's take it on in 2022.
Let's look at this next one. Charles Oliveira comes out, and it's kind of continuing this idea that McGregor might get the next fight. He asked his fans to take this poll on who would they like to see him fight next, and he has a picture of him and Dustin and a picture of him and McGregor.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Conor McGregor is going, I like that Charles Oliveira guy.
You know what's funny though, right? Is that all in the meantime, this thing's fucking pissing Justin Gaethje off.
You think?
Because he's probably in the back going, this motherfucker's going to try to jump me.
He's trying to duck me.
Sidestep. He's going to try to duck me.
He's trying to say that Charles is trying to duck him.
Yeah. He's just thinking like, man, because now you've got him, and then who else would be next? It would be Islam is the winner of Islam and Dariush would be the one next after that. If Conor jumps the line, you're talking, it won't be till 2023.
No, there will be riots in Colorado. One-man riots with Justin Gaethje just absolutely exploding.
Look.
It's the best. And I like the fact that Charles is putting it out there saying, hey, what do you guys think? Who should I fight? Which guy?
He's being a jerk.
But he's having fun with it.
He's having fun with it, which he deserves. He deserves to have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Up until they announced the Islam Dariush fight, I thought it was a toss-up between Gaethje and Islam getting the title shot. I thought it was a toss. You disagreed. Okay.
Well, my one way was I thought if the Gaethje versus Chandler fight was blah.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Islam could jump that hurdle, but as soon as it was the fight that it was.
Did you really think it was going to be blah?
No, I didn't think that. I was just saying that if that's the one way that I could see them jumping over Justin with Islam. But other than that.
I thought that was going to be his first fight in the UFC was going to be Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler. Because I was like, that's the fight that everybody was. I'm like, that's the fight you should make. There's just no other fight to make. I thought it should have been that fight. I thought maybe the Dustin Poirier fight, but I thought for sure Justin Gaethje, for sure that fight. But when they gave him a hooker, I was like, okay, good. Good hooker's tough. He's a dog. And then the Oliveira fight was next, but then the Gaethje fight. Finally, I'm glad we finally got it though. Because I feel like I gypped my fans as well as myself, and throughout my career, I didn't get to fight Cowboy Cerrone. He was like the one guy that everyone talked to me about fighting when I was with Strikeforce. Oh, you should go to the UFC and fight Cowboy Cerrone, or you and Anthony Pettis. And I was like, those are the two guys I never really got to fight, and it just felt like so gypped.
Hell, at the time that you were in the Strikeforce, Cowboy was in the WEC.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I wanted that fight. And all due respect, I just thought he was a fucking phenomenal fighter.
He's a dog,
There's
no doubt.
He was so fun. And I just loved his personality. You know, I had ran into him a bunch of times at the WC, and he was such a fucking cool guy. Just nice to be around. Just, you know, that relaxed, easy, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. Yeah, you know. But I think it's hilarious that he's doing this to Justin Gaethje. But I don't see that any way the UFC can do this without fans going, you guys fucking suck. I mean, they're going to keep watching, though. Fans are going to keep watching. They're going to be like, hey, you know, we got to. But they're going to tune in.
Yeah, no. I'm telling you, I think they would get backlash on this one. There's a lot of people that would like to see Conor fight Charles.
Yeah.
But they're going to get a lot of backlash, too. And they're going to get a lot. The UFC has got a very nice position with the media. The media doesn't screw with them. They take all of their stories and they put them out there, and they don't question a whole lot because the UFC doesn't give them a ton to question.
Mm-hmm.
This one, yeah, you're putting yourself in the piss pot. You're putting yourself in a position for people to start, you know, what in the fuck? How does a guy, and this is not taking nothing away from Conor, but he's got 2 losses in his last 2 fights. He's only got 1 win in his last 5 fights. And you're going to put him in a championship fight. No, what you're telling me is you don't care about the fans and the sport. You care about making money.
Yeah,
because you think it's going to make you more money, and it just won't. I just don't think it won't sit well for the UFC, and I think they're too smart of a promotion to do that. They will get Conor a win, and off of 1 win, they'll put him in a championship fight. But they got to get him the win.
Yeah, they got to get him a win. I don't know who he's going to beat. John, and the way he looks so fucking huge right now, he's going to fight at 170.
He's fucking jacked.
I don't know who the hell he's going to beat.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like even the fight with Nate Diaz would be a very dangerous fight for him.
Yeah,
he looks like he's very indecisive right now in everything. Whether he's a kicker, whether he's a boxer, we know he's not a wrestler and a grappler. But I mean, like when his Khabib fight, he had good takedown defense, but decent. It wasn't great. He still got smashed, but it was like he had some moments there where he was able to stuff a couple takedowns. You know, and he was able to avoid being taken down. So he went through a phase, but then now it's like he's beefed up. I mean, his McGregor fast thing or whatever it's called, he's putting the size on, but it's not helping him, I think, in his training aspect of it all. I think it's also probably harder for him to get the type of training that he was getting when he was with John Kavanagh in Dublin. I think he's on the road, traveling, doing whatever it is he's doing, but he's not the same fighter anymore. And I don't think he's going to ever get back to that. So I would like to see him get that Nate fight, but that Nate fight, I don't know if they want to give him Conor on Nate's last fight unless Nate resigns. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see that 3rd fight.
Yeah, they would. I just don't believe they would give Nate that fight without him being on their roster for future fights.
Yep. Next, Dave.
All right, let's talk about this last one for the show. Mark Hunt. So there was this whole thing. Mark Hunt basically had all these attorney fees that equated to almost $400,000. He then comes out and basically challenges Dana and the Fertittas to a fight and says, if you guys win, I'll drop the lawsuit. If I win, you got to pay every fight you've ripped off since the UFC started. Is the challenge he put out. Just to throw in a little curveball, there is also this ongoing drama with Jake Paul and Dana White, where Dana responded to him over the holidays, basically saying, "You haven't accepted my challenge yet for the steroid testing." And
well, enlighten us, Dave. Tell us what the challenge was.
Which challenge?
I don't. Whichever challenge you're talking about, Dave.
The Mark Hunt one I just told you. I just
no. This one, the Jake Paul one.
Okay,
what
so
challenge is Dana?
The challenge was that Dana would be tested for 10 years for cocaine use whenever someone wanted to come and knock on his door to test him. And Jake Paul had to be tested for 2 years for steroids. That was Dana's thing. Then Jake Paul came back, which is very interesting. And this is not good for Dana.
See, you look at it as it's not good for Dana. But
I don't think it is. Okay, hold on. And this is why I want you to think about this. We're not talking about Mark Hunt right now. So
yeah.
The reason I say it's not good for Dana is this. Dana is good with the media and he has people that work his social media, but he's out of his realm when it comes to the level of Jake and Logan Paul when it comes to social media. Look, those guys are masters with social media. Dana's not a master with social media. Dana has people working for him that do his social media and stuff, and he puts things out there. But he's not in a position to go toe-to-toe with these two. You know, this is their world. And, you know, when I say it all the time, don't fight another man's fight. This is Jake Paul's fight. This is not a place for Dana to think he's going to get a win, because you can take a look. Dana came out with a video saying, look, you know what? You said that I use cocaine. I don't use cocaine. You can test me for that. And he goes through the whole thing, and he talks about Jake Paul's manager and that he's a scumbag and all those things. And it was a nice little thing that he put out. And then Jake Paul responded, and you just got to look at both of them, and you go, yep, Jake Paul won that one 10-8. It's just gonna continue. And I'm not on Jake Paul's team on this. I'm just telling you, I just don't think this is going to go well in this realm now. That I think Jake he's using Dana. He's smart with what he's doing, and he now has a target on him. He's going, and I think even at the end of it, he said something to the effect of, "Oh, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here, motherfucker. I'm gonna be here."
But
so
I guess I look at it from more of a business point of view, where Dana is 100% correct. Like, if you think you can do it better, Jake, go start your own promotion. And what he said and what Dana said is absolutely true. Jake Paul, you didn't sell any pay-per-views. Like Masvidal, Nate, Nick, whoever else he has on his roster, they all sell more pay-per-views than him.
Well, hold on. Okay.
That was the conversation.
How in the world have you made it to where I am now backing Jake Paul? I'm serious.
But hey, for some reason, I'm backing Dana, and everyone knows that Dana and I don't get along.
This is great. This is great. But it's a matter of, yes, his last fight with Woodley, which was a put-together fight in a week, didn't do real well. But his other ones have done fairly well. Yeah. Now, they haven't done some of the numbers that they've said, but still, they've done fairly well. Yeah. And so he has sold pay-per-views. And there's times, you can sit there and say anything about any fighter. There's ups and downs. The only guy that consistently puts big numbers out there, it's Conor. Conor puts big numbers on the pay-per-view. That hasn't changed. Yeah. But everyone goes up and down on specific fights. Now, I agree that Jake on his last fight with Woodley, it was bad. As far as the numbers that were reported and stuff, it's, somewhere in the 100,000 at the most.
Really? I heard it was less. It was like 65.
Well, they were saying 65, but I've heard it's more like in the low 100,000. But whatever it is, it is. It's still not what, they expected. And,
but you got to look at it, though, too, John. I'm going to take your side on that portion of it, is that the fans had already seen that fight.
Yeah.
And the first fight wasn't that great.
No.
I mean, they missed out on the knockout on the second one, but the first fight, it wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't a great fight. It was a lackluster fight on both parties.
Yeah.
But my point, though, is the reason why when I'm talking about Dana, I'm saying he made a very valid point. Jake, you goofball. Like, if you think you can do it better, take my old CFO or whoever, the guy with the nose ring or whatever it is, the big cock ring on his face. Take that guy. Okay,
yeah, nose ring. I think
whatever.
He's got a mole or something.
Ring? Oh, he has. Oh, is it a mole? Okay, I thought it was a big ring.
What can he do about a mole?
Anyways, get it removed. Gosh,
why?
Man, fuck. Apparently, you guys are worth millions.
It
doesn't cost that much to get that shit removed.
Haven't you ever seen Austin Powers?
Yeah, mole. Yes, I have seen that movie. But just go and get it removed.
Why?
Because
you don't like it?
I mean, I've never seen the guy until this video. We saw the video. I'd never even heard of the guy or seen the guy. But look, regardless, though, if they think they can do it better, go and start your own promotion. Why are you trying to come to the UFC if we suck so bad? If Dana White has a point, why are you trying to say I'll fight George Masvidal in the UFC and MMA? Why do you want to come here? If I'm doing something that's so bad and so atrocious, and I'm a horrible capitalist, dictator or whatever the hell you want to call me, then why do you want to come here and fight my guys? Oh, because they're stars. That's why. Because as well as I know, the UFC does one thing really fucking well. They promote the shit out of their fighters.
Yes, they do.
Their fighters are fucking. When they back
marketing
people,
wise, it's done very well.
They do a phenomenal job of that. Okay. And like I said, I can't believe I'm on the Dana White side of this whole thing right now, but it really comes down to, if you don't like it, go and do it. Coker says the same shit. If you go, look, we're going to do our thing on our side over here in Bellator. UFC's going to do their thing on their side over there. Ryzen's going to do theirs. PFL's going to do theirs. Everyone just do their own shit. Okay. And sure, we'd love to see some intermix in the fights, but Jake Paul, if you think you can do better, go start your own promotion with the moly guy. Okay. And you guys can go and start your own shit. And when you guys start your own shit, let me know how it all works out when you're dealing with all these fighters. And that's the years we talked about earlier in this show. Years of the experience of Dana, Lorenzo, Frank, and whoever else has had to deal with fighters. They have learned what they can handle and what they can't to financially make money. That's why they're in the position that they're in right now.
Okay, but don't you think, again, this is crazy that you're taking Dana's side and I'm taking Jake Paul's side. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate, really. But don't you think that kind of the fighters need Jake Paul doing what he's doing? It doesn't hurt the fighters because it's all about, he's saying, hey, pay them more money. They should make more than the $12,000 if they're fighting in what is the biggest promotion. They should make more money. Okay, I kind of agree with him. If they've reached that level, yeah.
John, I look, do I agree that they deserve more money? Yes. Do I also, though, when I say, look, there's a lot of these young fighters that are on this card making 12 and potentially another 12,000. So if they win, they make 24,000. My math skills are getting better. No drinking.
That's very good.
So what happens, though, is there's also 14, 15 fights on a card. That's how many people that they're employing. That's how many fighters that are actually able to fight and actually pay their rent or their mortgage or whatever in wherever state they fucking live or whatever country they live in. That to me is more important than saying, yeah, I want the 50 grand. Okay, now now if they were to shrink it down to say like boxing where you only have 4 or 5 fights on a card and those fighters are only making 80 grand or 100 grand, 120 grand on the undercard of the undercard. Okay, and there's only 4 or 5 fights. That's less people that are actually financially living their dream. I care more about the fighters that are financially being able to live their dream potential and have the potential to get to that top tier.
So you're going to tell me that if the UFC was paying $50,000, so 25 and 25, we'll say, okay? Mm-hmm. So $50,000 to the winning fighter of each fight, that they're going to now have 4 fights.
No, but they would probably shrink it down. They'd probably shrink it down to 8.
Oh,
they'd probably only be a prelim. No, I think that they would. I think that they would because a lot of the cards they're doing right now, they're not even have fans at.
Some of those people that, in that 650 fighter range that they have for their roster. So if it shrunk to 500, if you're fighting in the UFC, shouldn't it be that you're making bigger money?
John, it would shrink below 500. It'd probably be closer to around 300.
It's not going to be closer to 300.
I think it would be.
No way.
The only reason why it wouldn't be.
Josh,
here's the thing.
Think about this.
They wouldn't even have to have them under contract, though.
This.
No, I am. You want to know why? Because look, they wouldn't have to have those fighters under contract because every fighter would they'd say, hey, you know what? This is your one chance. You have 6 weeks to get ready to fight. We're not going to put you under contract. We're just going to fight you. They would say, fine, we'll pay you the 50 grand. If you look good, maybe we'll think about signing you. They'd have less fighters under contract because they don't want to get stuck holding the bill on them if they didn't fight them in the amount of time they were supposed to.
Okay.
They wouldn't have them. They would just start bringing people in freelance for one-offs to make 50 grand, and that would be it. It would be 25 and 25, probably not even 50. If he's saying 50
grand,
that's
what I said, 25 and 25.
They would cut their roster down to probably 3, maybe a little bit more.
Let's just be honest. If they paid them that, is it going to really affect their bottom line that much? No.
No, I agree with you. It's not. But what I'm saying, though, is that they're not going to do it. That's not
I
how
didn't
they've been
say
doing
they're going
business,
to do it.
John.
I can guarantee they're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's my point. Look, it doesn't matter. You're saying that what Jake Paul brings to the table and the way he talks about it's helping the fighters. Sure, it's giving them a voice because the UFC fighters
they don't have a voice themselves.
They won't say anything.
Exactly.
You know, it's smart for them not to say anything. It's good for them just to be company men and women, okay, and just keep their mouth shut and keep fighting and do the best they can. That's what their job is to do anyways. Their job is not to get into this political warfare back and forth between Jake and Dana because it doesn't help them at all. In terms of what Jake is doing, it doesn't do shit. Dana's worth $400, probably maybe even $500 million. You think he gives two shits with some YouTube guy? Who
I think Dana's worth more than that now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's probably like what, 7? Somewhere around there, 6 or 7.
He's closing in on that capital B.
Wow. So, like, do you really think he cares? Like, I think he loves responding to him because it does just bring more media and attention to him. I agree with you in one aspect, and this is the only aspect. Do not get into a Twitter beef or a social media war with a troll. And that's really what Jake Paul is. Yeah. Jake Paul is the YouTube troll.
He'll admit it, though.
He's what Podcast Dave wish he could be. Okay, just like that troll on Twitter just wants to keep irritating people. He's what Podcast Dave wishes he could be. That's really what it comes down to. If you're Dana White, just ignore it. This is the one thing that I think when I look at how like guys like Joe Rogan, when people talk shit or say whatever, he never responds.
No,
doesn't even talk about it on his show. Doesn't even say like that one person. Doesn't do that at all. Just goes on about it. Like I think Ariel had said some stuff about him, and somebody else and some other media guys had said stuff about him. I think some guys from Bloody Elbow did, and he just is like it never even came up. Like he just didn't talk about it in any interviews. Didn't talk about it on his TV show, on his TV show, but on his podcast, never brings it up.
Yeah,
one thing I admire
Josh
about him.
No,
Dave, see, this is the thing. Podcast Dave talking when he's not supposed to be. See, like that's the thing. So then, like that's the one that he does that's something he does very well, and it's something I admire about him. It's very, very
good. You should learn from him because you can listen to everybody.
I do. I'm ruthless when it comes to that. But I think overall, though, like when Jake Paul comes out and says, you know, I want to be able to test all of your fighters in MMA in the UFC promotion. I'm like, I thought they were already getting tested.
They are.
Yeah, so that's it's like I don't think does he understand what he's saying? He's like you said, he's a troll. He's doing a good job at trolling at him. He's gonna keep this action alive. You know, he's gonna keep trying to get under his skin. But I go back to why do you want to go to the UFC if Dana White's doing such a shitty job?
He doesn't want to go to the UFC. He doesn't want to go to the UFC at all.
No, he's just putting out these horrible like what are they called? He's putting out these horrible demands. Yeah, demands. Yeah. These demands out there because he thinks that he's proven a point. But in reality, like Dana's like, yeah, whatever, man.
All right, let's get back to Mark Hunt.
Okay.
Because Mark Hunt, this is what they need to understand. The UFC has had this before. They did it with Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock had sued them. And if you go through the fighter's contract, I don't even know if you knew that this was in your contract, but if you bring in any type of legal action against the UFC and you lose or you are in the midst of it taking a long time, they can actually come back and ask for the courts to have you reimburse them for their lawyer fees. Now they have a lot of lawyers that are on staff and everything already. It's not like they're paying them as a salary anyways, but they can come back and ask. That's what they did. They went to the Nevada court because if you are a fighter with the UFC, you have to file your case in the state of Nevada. That's also in your contract. And so, well, that's smart by them. So
yeah. Because they're never going to lose in that.
Exactly. So
they're never going to
lose it there. So what the court did is the court is looking and tells Mark Hunt, look, we're not saying that your case is not viable. We're not saying that, you know, in the end you might not win, but at this point you've drugged this on through this point that we're going to say that, you know, you have to pay the fees for their legal team and everything. Now, again, the UFC has won this type of thing. They won it with Ken Shamrock. They never made Ken pay, or, you know, I've heard Dana, you know, tell Ken, you owe me money, meaning $170,000 in legal fees from Ken suing them, but I don't ever see Mark Hunt paying this. He's not going to ever pay that $400,000 legal fees, and it doesn't mean that, you know, their lawsuit's over. What Mark is just coming out saying is, I'll tell you what, you come and fight me, and if you win, I'll drop my lawsuit. I just want to know, is he saying, you guys fight me one at a time, or all three of you at the same time? Because if it's all three at the same time, I want to watch.
Yes.
Because a little coordination, a little team, you know, team play can go a long ways in this. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But that's what Mark Hunt is saying, is that, you know, you fight me and I'll drop the lawsuit if you win. And it's like, well, I don't think they're going to be doing that.
I'd go after Lorenzo first because he's the fucking bull in that whole thing.
Oh, well.
Right after him.
Yep.
And then the other two afterwards.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I can't say much to it.
Well,
I mean, if he owes $400,000 and
it's not like to sit there and say he owes it. The courts are now that judge has made it to where he supposedly owes it. He can appeal that and it can go to another judge and stuff, but this is why when you get into legalese bullshit, it just becomes a nightmare. Because if you're taking a look at what Mark Hunt was suing them for, no one can sit there and say that Mark is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not the litigious person, and I would not have sued them. I'm just being honest for what he did. But he looked at it and said, "Look, you asked me to fight Brock Lesnar. You told me that he was being tested. We find out that for him to actually fight me at UFC 200, he skipped the testing, and then he came up dirty, and so you put me in a bad situation." And that's what he was suing him for, basically. All kinds
how did
of
he not win?
Stuff like that.
So how did he not win? If you have rules,
what do you mean?
You have to be in your
court case is still going. The lawsuit is still going.
Got it.
He hasn't lost the lawsuit. What he's done is he's had a judge in Nevada award Zuffa, the UFC, legal fees for this ongoing case. Yeah.
Interesting. You would think they wouldn't do that till afterwards.
You would think.
Until they lost.
You would think.
Yeah. Until they won, I should say, if that's the case. All right. Is there anything else, Dave?
Yeah, I think we got time for a handful of fan questions. So
right.
let's knock out a few fan questions. We ran a fan question post earlier today, so we'll honor some of these. So I'm gonna probably get through
honoring
between 5 and 10. All right,
John,
come on,
this guy.
All right,
just the sound of podcast Dave today is fucking under my skin. It's killing me right now. I just wanna. You're lucky you live in Austin now, buddy. When I see
I'm training for One to Warrior, Josh. So I mean, if you want to catch,
go baby, go.
If you want to catch,
have you started the program? Have you started the program?
No, but I've started 4-mile runs per day. So my cardio game is better than yours right now.
Cardio game is up.
You could train for fucking 2 years. Your cardio game would never be as good as mine.
My lab is not pulling me on a skateboard.
Bro,
no, man, you're pulling your lab. Tell him, Dave.
It doesn't matter, buddy. It doesn't matter. You could train for 2 years. Even right now at 40-something years old, you would never be as good a shape as me.
I'm not.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm doing about 5 miles a day, Josh.
On your one wheel?
On my one wheel.
On your one wheel. Hey, I saw they have some new ones that are out that look pretty dope.
Yeah, the GT.
Do you have a new one, or do you have like one of the older ones with just like the board?
No, mine's there's 3 levels. There was the XR and the Pint, and now there's the GT. They got rid of the XR and the GT and the Pint. So
the Pint is the GT. Have like the lights on it and stuff.
Oh, mine has the lights on it. XR has the lights on it and stuff.
That's pretty dope.
Oh, they're fucking fun.
I don't know, man. I just bought a new mountain bike.
Yeah,
John. Let me just tell you.
I know those are expensive.
Fucking super expensive, man.
That's why you don't buy it.
Yeah, and I had to get the new face mask. I got the new helmet with the new face mask on it because I knew I'd be going a little bit harder because I got a full suspension. I had a S-Works, specialized S-Works, but it was a hardtail.
Yeah.
My body started getting beat up pretty bad trying to hit a lot of the trails we were hitting. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I went and got the full suspension because all my buddies that I ride with, they're all full suspension, but I'm faster than all of them on the downhill. So it's like, all right, well, let me go get the full suspension. Now I'm way, way faster than them, but my body doesn't take as much damage.
But the uphill, you're not quite as fast.
I'm actually not too bad, John. I'm a getter when it comes to the cardio scene.
I'm not saying, but the suspension in the back tends to take a little bit of that pump
absolutely
away.
Absolutely, yeah. But the good thing is that the new Specialized that I got is friggin'
He's top of the line.
Yeah, I didn't get an e-bike though. Everyone, for you guys second guessing me, I didn't get an e-bike because
that's what I would have done.
Now those are cheap. Of course, you're
almost
300 pounds. You're almost 300 pounds.
Man, I ain't fucking pump up the hill. I would just look at you, hit the button, and go, see ya.
This is a cool idea. Like I didn't realize, like I didn't even put this together though. When people are like, "Oh yeah," because there's so many people with e-bikes now, and I'm like thinking to myself, I go, "Why'd you guys buy e-bikes?" Like the best part is like, the reason being is because now they're like, I can ride a lot longer. I can ride for 5-6 hours.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I do like 3 hours, maybe 4, and I'm exhausted because I'm actually pedaling up the hill.
Yeah,
you ride to the top, you motor down, and then you ride up, and then do it again. But I'll get 2, maybe 3 rides in the morning. Right, we go early. These guys, they're doing 7-8 rides because they're like, yeah, I can ride a lot longer because I don't have to put in as much work going uphill. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you got to earn it. It's almost like cutting weight before you fight. I feel like that's like the last little bit when you earn it. Anyways. All right. Well, okay, Dave, go ahead.
Let's hear it.
All right. Let's get into this first question. Just Saying asks, hey guys, talk about Cowboy versus Paddy Pimblett, and how do you see this matchup going, or is it a good one to make? And what would you guys think about Cowboy versus Nick Diaz in the future? Great podcast.
Okay. So are they talking about Paddy and Cowboy? Is that fight? I haven't heard anything about that fight.
I saw a post earlier. I mean, it wasn't official, but it was like something that suggested there was there's speculation about it.
Yeah. I don't like it for Cowboy because it has no win situation for him. If he beats him, he's supposed to beat him. If he doesn't beat him, it's okay. You're washed out. You're done. I don't really like that fight for Cowboy. It doesn't do anything for him at all whatsoever. I mean, not that he needs to have anything done for him, but I'm just saying, and the Cowboy and the Nate Diaz fight, I've already seen it.
No, he said Nick Diaz.
Oh, Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
Okay.
Nick, yeah.
I don't really want to see that fight either. So, it's like if you look at the same, they're very similar. Nick and Nate are very similar. So yeah, no, I don't really have interest. I want to see Paddy fight somebody who is another up and comer, and why not have him fight that one kid, who they call the Great, something the Great.
Oh, Alexander the Great?
Alexander Hernandez? Is it Hernandez? Yeah, I'd like to see that fight. That'd be a good little scrap between the two.
That'd be a good fight. Look, at Paddy Pimblett he came onto the scene being a very good grappler. He's got good submission, good jiu-jitsu. His stand-up's gotten better. I actually, Cowboy just came off of 2. He's been in 2 grappling things lately. We had Craig Jones, which, just to be on the mat with Craig Jones is saying something. And then he also did Joe Solicki, who's with the UFC as a lightweight. He lost both of those, but look, one of the things that Cowboy has always had is very good grappling. He's much better on the ground than people give him credit for. His stand-up now, he has slowed down, but I honestly think that might not be a good fight for Paddy Pimblett.
I don't think it is either, but I don't think he doesn't have anything to gain. Donald Cerrone doesn't have anything to gain by fighting him.
Cowboy has nothing to gain by fighting Paddy. The only person that could gain something out of it would be Paddy. Yeah. And size-wise, look at Nick Diaz is a 185-pound fighter. Cowboy has fought up to 170, and that they're too big for him at 170, but he'll fight at 170. He can't fight at 185. That's not a fight that I would think is a fight that they would even think about putting together. Not that, Nick and Donald together wouldn't be fun to watch. I just think that the size and everything, when Nate was able to do what he was able to do with Cowboy, Nick is at a bigger size. Not a good matchup there for Cowboy. So I would say, yeah, I think the Pimblett matchup actually I wouldn't have a problem with that, even though there's a big age difference and stuff. I think Cowboy would do very well there against Nick, a little bit too big. A little bit too big right now.
Got it. Next.
All right, this next one comes from Nick Assetuli, who asks, why is Robert Whittaker so overlooked? Seems no matter what the guy does, nobody talks about him or how talented he is. He is one of the most well-rounded fighters in all of MMA. Your thoughts, ?
John, let me tell you why. He's a fucking nice guy. And people just always overlook the nice guy. He's a nice guy. His style is, he's very clean technically. He doesn't do anything like, he's not like someone that is big slams. He's not super explosive, but he's just good all the way around. He's a very talented fighter. He's a good takedown defense. He's got good top position when he does get on top. He's got good kickboxing. He's got a good chin. He's a fucking amazing fighter. Absolute stud. Everything about him I love. I love everything about his personality. I love the way he fights. I love everything about him. He just doesn't get the credit because he kind of keeps to himself, doesn't talk a lot of shit. He gives a lot of people respect. And that's what I like to see in fighters. That's the way they should be, but they're not. Not everyone's that way. And the ones that aren't that way are the ones that get pushed to the side. And that's kind of why. I mean, he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I agree with whatever this guy's name is.
Yeah, okay, you know what? You're absolutely right. Robert Whittaker is a stud. He's good. He is good everywhere. He's got a good, his wrestling is good. His defensive wrestling is good. His stand-up striking is clean. He counter strikes very well. His jiu-jitsu game is actually pretty decent. Not bad at all. He's exactly what you said. He doesn't talk snap about other people. You know, you can take a look at his division. Adesanya. Adesanya talks snap. Now he can back it up, but he talks snap. You know, he also does. You know, he'll do he does all the theatrical stuff also that Whittaker doesn't take part of at all. And so when you're looking at him and people, they don't really, I think a lot of times understand how good he really is and how technically proficient he is and how good you have to be to beat him. And he's that guy that right now, if you took Adesanya out, he's kind of in the Colby Covington situation. You know, if it wasn't for Adesanya, Robert Whittaker would still be the champion in the middleweight division. He's that good, and other guys are going to have a hard time beating him. Not that, there's nobody that's unbeatable, but he's in that position. It's just that Adesanya's length, he's 6'4", the length and the style of stand-up that he has, he makes a hard fight for Whittaker. Yeah. But other than that, Whittaker he's a stud. Like he's ranked number 1 in that division. There's only one guy ahead of him. You know, what are you going to say? He might get him in this next one. He didn't get him in the first one, but you could also go back and if you watch that fight, you will see many things that Whittaker did wrong. And a lot of it was, I think, that Adesanya kind of got under his skin, kind of got him mad, kind of got him worked up, and to the point where, and we always say, man, you don't fight mad. You don't fight angry. You don't fight trying to hurt someone. You fight smart. And I think in that fight, Whittaker kind of lost that smart fighter aspect that he always has. And so in the next one, he might settle himself down and adjust little things that are going to make a big difference in the fight, and he could win.
Yeah, I think he probably went back and he's just like, shit, I could have done this, I could have done that. And then now also seeing Jan Blachowicz beat him and the way he beat him, and kind of just like, hey, you know what, I can take a couple little things from there. And you guys got to remember, when somebody has been beaten, doesn't matter if it's in a different weight class, the groundwork has kind of been laid out now. Like, this is potentially the way to start trying to get him to, or get the win over him. And so he's laid that out. Jan laid that out against Izzy, and Whittaker's the type of fighter that is probably going to go to the well and learn to figure this out. Like, hey, look, I can work on the wrestling aspect. I can work on getting the takedown on the open mat. I can work on a lot of little things. On the stand-up, don't get me wrong, he's good. It's not like he can't stand with Izzy. He can. He just got to make sure that he doesn't get careless. He's got to touch him and then get out of the way. He's got to touch him and not back out with his chin in the air. He's got to make sure he steps off line. He's got to make sure that he's not throwing his combinations and staying in one spot. He's got to move in and move out. Slide in, throw the combinations, and cut angles. If he does little things like that, that'll make a big difference. He's no slouch on the feet at all. He can stand with Izzy. He's just got to be cautious. He doesn't leave himself open after the exchanges. That's what happened in the last fight. In that scenario, or in this next fight, when they fight, he's got to mix up the wrestling a little bit more, and he's got to utilize that, I think. And if he does, that'll make Izzy a step slower on the feet because he'll be worried about the takedown. If he does get him down, it will start to become a problem, I think, for Izzy as the fight goes on, because then the takedowns will potentially start coming a little bit easier if Whitaker's able to keep getting them. If he gets 1 or 2 takedowns in the first round and makes Izzy work to get back up, it will start to slow Izzy down on the feet as the fight goes on in a 5-round fight.
Oh yeah, yeah. You hit it on the head. Human beings we're just incredibly mental, and the whole thing of what you're saying is, it used to be Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile. No one could run a mile faster than 4 minutes until one guy does it, and then within a couple of weeks, other people are doing it. Because once they see it can be done, and they see how this is, the pace needed to be set like this is what needs to be done, they can do it. But when it hasn't been done, it's like, I don't think it can be done. And you have that mental, block. And now it could be that he sees what, was done in that fight that Blachowicz was able to get the win against Adesanya. And he incorporates a lot of those same things, and he's successful. He can definitely walk away with the title.
Yeah, John just totally aged himself. Robert Bannister, I don't know who the fuck.
Roger Bannister, dude.
Whatever.
That's called history. The reason you know history is that, because that's what tells you how things happen. And you don't want to repeat bad history.
Were you born when that guy did it?
Hell no. I was not. That's how long ago that was.
Oh, jeez.
All right. This next one from Darren Boy asks, for John, do the judges ever get together to discuss what each other seen differently in the event of a split decision? It seems a simple thing to do, but never hear of it happening.
Yeah, you don't hear of it happening, but it happens after every fight. Every fight. Okay, I'm telling you right now. The judges on big fights, after every fight, they will huddle up, and the guys that did that fight will get together, unless it was, it was a blowout fight as far as, 30-27 across the board that way. But even if it was 30-26, 30-25, they'll talk about what they saw, why it was a 10-8 round in this round, what was it that put them over the edge on giving it an 8 instead of a 9, at what point they did. They'll discuss all of that because, it's easy to blast the judges. It's easy to say, oh, they don't know anything. Look, they know a lot and they're very good with the sport, but you're never going to make everybody happy. You can't. When you have a close fight and there's 50% of the people want fighter in the blue corner and 50% want fighter in the red corner, and it's a real close fight, 50% of the people are going to say you're wrong. It's just the way it is, okay? So they take it very seriously. They converse all the time at the shows, and then, trust me, you should see my texting, my phone light up after a fight. I mean, right after the fight. I'm watching it on TV. I see them raise the hand of the fighter, and 15 seconds later, there goes my phone, and it's the judges that were on that. Hey, did you see this? Tell me what you think about it. And because they're asking questions all the time. They want to be the best that they can be for the fighter. So yes, they do talk about it after every fight. They're getting together just about. And then at the end of the night, they all get together with the commission, and the commission will ask them questions. Tell me why you scored this round. Let's talk about this round, and they'll talk about just specific rounds. They don't talk about every fight. But if they had a fight that was close or controversial in any way that they looked at that said, it could have been this way, they will talk about that round. They will have the judges that judged it explain why they gave the score that they did. And other people in the room at times will attack that judge and say, man, I'll be one of the guys attacking him. Are you kidding me? And it's a matter of, sometimes they'll say stuff that you go, you just are not understanding this at all. And then sometimes they'll say it and you'll go, you're absolutely right. It's exactly the reason why you should have given that. And this is the point when it turned that this fighter started to take over. So yes, they do.
John, John, why the hell do we always have the same damn judge then fucking it up?
Hey, I cannot help who the athletic commissions hire.
Jeez.
That is not my position, but
we all know.
Hopefully that they're always trying to hire the very best.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are going to end on this nice little question right here. From August Ulrich, how was your New Year's, Christmas, or other holiday celebration? Also, what was your favorite, worst experience of 21 that you're willing to share? I hope everyone has a fantastic 22.
So the first part, how was the New Year's? Well, Christmas was COVID, so I was in my room hanging out by myself, FaceTiming family and staying away, keeping my social distancing, which basically I felt like it was just the flu. You guys can take what you want from all that, but yeah, that was it. New Year's Eve, I finally got cleared that day. My COVID test came back clean that day, so I was able to spend New Year's Eve with family. But that was about it. The rest of it, I just basically hunkered down in my room and I watched a lot of Netflix and chill, baby. That's what it was.
All right. What's your best of 2021?
My best and my worst.
And so then your worst.
My best of 2021 in terms of my experience overall was honestly work, man. I really, really thought we had a good year of great fights given the situation and the circumstances for Bellator. With the COVID situation, I thought a lot of the fighters stepped up and a lot of passing of the torches. It was great to see guys like Yaroslav Amosov, and I'm a huge Douglas Lima fan. I love watching him fight. I'm a huge fan of his. But Yaroslav Amosov right now, to me, is probably one of the best, I would say top 2 or 3 fighters in the world, period, overall, across the board, pound for pound. Watching him just do what he does. It's if you I follow him on Instagram as well, and I'm seeing him. He's traveling. He traveled to AKA Thailand. He was training there. Now he's at Tiger Muay Thai with Fazeev. He's like traveling all these places. He was in London, and then he was in Russia. He was in I think Chechnya. He's traveling, and you see he's just when guys have no concept of who to train with. They train with everybody. That's how they get so damn good. And he is phenomenal, man. And I just been following him on Instagram. To me, I think he's someone to keep a really close eye on throughout the year of 2022. In terms of the worst, I also want to give credit to the one obviously fight of the year for Bellator was the Sabah Homasi and the Paul Daly fight. Absolute barn burner of a fight. If you guys haven't watched that fight, you guys got to look it up, watch it. That to me was one of the best highlights of my year, to watch that and talk about that fight. And that was a phenomenal fight. In terms of the worst, I think everyone will fucking agree. The fucking shit show that's being run by our government. Like, what the hell's going on with this shit? I'm sorry, man. Everyone's sitting around, fucking businesses not knowing what to do, whether we're open, we're closed, we're not, we're not. People going out, anyways. I'm not trying to get too political about it all, but that to me was the shit show for 2021. That sucked, and it sucked. So hopefully 2022 is a lot better in that department.
There you go. All right, let's see. For Christmas, I had to make too many gifts because we made a deal that you had to make people stuff instead of just buying them stuff. So I was busy with sanding.
The worst thing ever.
Dude, I'll tell you what.
Came up with that?
I thought my daughter came up with it. I thought that's a great idea. Until I was in the middle of making stuff, I'm like, God damn it, this is a pain in the ass. But
tell me, you guys voted not to do that again next year.
I got that done. No, in fact, the only thing they did is we're gonna choose earlier, so you got more time.
No,
so,
absolutely not.
But no, I had a very good Christmas because I had most of my family out here. I wasn't able to see my dad. I'll be able to see my dad for his birthday coming up. So that was the only bad part for the holidays there. New Year's, I didn't do anything. I was working the whole day. I was making a chicken coop. So that's what I did on New Year's. The first New Year's that I've not sat there just watching football. So normally I spend it with my dad watching football, but I wasn't able to do that. So let's see. The worst thing
was the chicken coop for your daughter at her farm, or was it for the house?
No, it's for my daughter's farm.
I just wasn't sure because your wife, because Miss McCarthy always adding more shit around.
No, that would be a raccoon, squirrel, possum.
Jeez,
Jesus Christ!
I thought maybe she spread her wings to chickens.
The worst thing for 2021, getting my ass kicked by a fucking oak tree. That was probably the worst. 6 broken ribs and the hole in my lung for a while, having to drive up to the Mohegan Sun with that. That was not fun, but that was probably the worst. And the best, oh my God, I would say just, the fact that I am blessed in that I get to work with people that I care about, that I love, that I enjoy being around. And I get to do my podcast with a guy that I absolutely enjoy screwing with consistently throughout the day, the week, the month, the year. We have a good time, so I am blessed in that.
Isn't it like you would? I honestly, John, did you think we'd ever become friends the way we've become friends after?
Hell no.
It's so weird.
I thought you were a punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
It's just fun. I don't know. I would have never have thought, honestly. I just, even when you refed my fights, you had a very the stern way.
That was business.
I understand that. I get it. But, sometimes you can get a feel for someone's personality.
Yeah.
And not just whether the rules in the back or whether it was in the cage, no, stand over there. And I was like, man, calm down, man. You're so forcing me around. I'm the one that got hit in the nuts, dude. Why are you yelling at me? No, but you know what I mean? And so and then also too, when I did the Patricky uphill, we had talked a couple times and I was like, I just wasn't sure. I was like, man, is he on my side? Is he not on my side? I knew it felt like you were on my side.
I was on your side.
I know, but then it just felt like, okay, but this is not my fault. I got headbutted. Anyways. But then we started working together and it became real fun and just hilarious, man. Miss McCarthy was always with you at the time. So it was like having another mom. She's gonna hate me for that, but it was it's been fun, man. It's been fun.
It has.
So,
all right.
Well, that pretty much wraps us up, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this show and continue to support us. Hit the subscribe button in our channel, as well as go to the link down below in our main channel. That will take you to our Weigh-In extras. That's more like our clips channel. We do an extra show there, which we're going to film right now just for you guys, called Weigh-In Interjection. And hopefully you guys enjoyed your guys' New Year and everyone was safe. And we want to wish you a happy New Year now that it is a full New Year, which we've already done, but we're going to continue to do it because it's a blessing for us to wake up every day and enjoy the Weigh-In podcast. And like I said, we get to enjoy each other's company. And this is fun for us, man. Even though we have to deal with Podcast Dave, we still put up with it. We enjoy him, though. All right. Well, also go to ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing-in. Use that promo code and still pick up one of our shirts. Please pick up the shirt. When you guys pick up the shirts, we've seen people who are buying them, but post it so we can retweet it, repost it, do all those things. We want to thank you guys so much for supporting our show. And John, take us off the air, buddy.
Everyone out there, man, have a great 2022 and we will see ya.